Watch and burn.
Hey everyone, so tonight I want to discuss the 2014 film Miss Meadows starring Katie Holmes. And I have loved this movie since I saw it, I think roughly around 2014. This movie is like the perfect blend of a thriller and like a dark comedy, where Katie Holmes' character, Miss Meadows, she is this seemingly like sort of like this, she's a complete anachronism in the sense that she's one part Little House on the Prairie and she's another part Leave It to Beaver, and she's another part Natural Born Killers, and how somehow the character really works, because I don't for a second believe that the character is so unbelievable that I feel like I'm just sort of watching a parody of things. She is those things equally. She's part Little House on the Prairie, Leave It to Beaver, and like Mallory Knox, because she sort of has a very proper and yet very narrow-minded and dogmatic view on what she believes the world should be. And of course, I mean, I can't falter too much, because the type of people that she ends up murdering in this movie are like the guy that attempts to abduct, rape, and possibly kill her at the start of the movie. She shoots him in the face while she's out on one of her like neighborhood walks, because she's a normal citizen who's just trying to enjoy her life. And then she ends up killing a guy when she was going to the the restaurant where they're selling hot dogs so she could buy them for a bunch of the kids that she was subbing for, because the teacher was out, I believe, with cancer. And there's a lunatic in there who just blasted everyone in the place for no good reason. And so she decides to kill him. She kills a child molesting priest. She kills a dude at the end who I'm not entirely sure. I think he might have been a serial killer at one point who attempted to sort of change his ways, but of course he doesn't. And all the while she begins dating one of the police officers from the town where she lives. And of course, all the while they're investigating these series of vigilante killings, and the composite sketch comes in, and it's like this Mary Poppins looking woman, and the cop that she's dating sort of instantly has this vibe like, oh fuck, you know, what if I'm dating her? And when she kills the priest, she's always wearing these tap shoes, because she taps a lot wherever she's going, because she sort of has this Mary Poppins thing, sort of Alice in Wonderland thing going on. And she loses one of the steel toes, one of the tapping things on her shoes, and her boyfriend, who they are definitely now dating, the cop brings it back and he's like, hey, look what I found at one of the murder scenes. And so he's not going to turn her in, which I really loved, because he's completely in love with her. And not to mention the fact that the sex scene in this was so comical and so funny. It was like she couldn't stop giggling at the prospect of having sex, because she's just so childlike in so many ways. But he discovers that it's her, and he essentially helps her cover it up at the end of the film, when it is made to look like the serial killer who had abducted her and one of her students is the vigilante, because her boyfriend points out how her gun is now his gun, and that of course is the gun that was used in all of the slayings in the vigilante killings. The other thing I liked about this movie was, throughout the course of the film, periodically she'll be on the phone with her mom, and her mom is essentially just an older carbon copy of her. So from that, you get the vibe that her mom and her mom's influence have really gone on to shape how Miss Meadows thinks, feels, dresses, and behaves, because everything that her mom is, she essentially has become. And she's occasionally calling, looking for advice, and she's telling her what's going on in her life. And it's nothing out of the ordinary until towards the end of the film, when it's revealed that her mom was killed in a drive-by shooting outside of a church, where her and a number of other people were there for somebody's wedding. And so Miss Meadows hasn't been speaking to her mom on the phone this whole time. She's sort of invented this idea of what her mother would have been, because if I'm not mistaken, she was like 5 or 6 when her mom was killed. And so she has essentially sort of projected herself into the character that is her mother. And so she's essentially just talking to an older her, I guess, because her mom is dead. And it's sort of sad, but this movie is just so wild in so many ways that you don't really feel the sadness. And I feel that here, that's a good thing. I didn't want this movie to get too heavy. I mean, there was already like an attempted rape, and there was a kid being molested by a priest. There is a mass killing in a fast food restaurant. So this movie already, it sort of had enough heavy tones to it that when it is revealed that her mom was killed all those years ago, it more points to her state of psychosis and her how disconnected she can become from reality. Except it's done in such a way that it's a little more pro-social, I suppose, because you don't really feel it in any sort of negative way. I can't think of anything else I wanted to say. I think I've just run out of things to say about this movie. I've seen this movie a dozen times. It's absolutely perfect. Katie Holmes knocked it out of the park. She was so believable and so likable and so dangerous all at the same time. Like, she played that part perfectly. I loved her boyfriend. The supporting cast was great. And now I'm just looking for things to say. So I think I'm going to stop there. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little over 6 minutes while I discuss the 2014 film Miss Meadows, starring Katie Holmes. If you like this review or whatever this was, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. I'm going to go. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.